Dun, 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 dun. Another video on the LC. We're replacing the electrolytic capacitors in this video. I'll also show you how to remove them the best way. Unfortunately this was through trial and error, and unfortunately there was a bit more error than I had hoped. My other LC is now missing a 100 microfarad capacitor from the back of the board, the very back left hand corner. Unfortunately one of the pads lifted, and it lifted pretty bad, so bad that I couldn't actually, well, the only way I could have added a trace wire was destroyed as well in the process. So let's not talk about that, let's talk about this one, which I haven't mangled yet. Now I did try this method of removal on the broken board. It still turns on and everything, so it's somewhat functional. I just don't know what exactly that 100 microfarad capacitor did. Might have been something to do with the PDS slot, so you just don't know. I don't know, I don't have schematics. So here's a capacitor, and that's out of frame. So they're pretty small. You'll notice on the actual capacitor itself, some focus here, there are two legs. Now the two legs then go onto this plastic thing. Whoa, this is hard trying to, two holes, which then go through, and on the other side you've got the solder on the main board. Now let's give a quick live demonstration. Let's start with the 100 microfarads again. So this one's missing from my other board, so we'll start with this one. If I break this, I don't think I'm ever going to try replacing capacitors on a classic anything again, at least not surface mounted ones. So the trick is to wedge the flat blade in between the black plastic and the actual capacitor casing. Some other videos, they cut the capacitor in half. I don't quite understand why they do that. It just seems to be a step that you don't need to take. But I thought I could desolder surface mount capacitors on my own yesterday, and ended up breaking something, so what the hell would I know? Oh god. Okay, this one's already started leaking. The plastic underneath is quite brittle. Okay, really brittle. This could be a problem. No, 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 no! Maybe. Oh, we're good. Okay, that brought up the black plastic as well, but thankfully the pads are still intact on the board. Dodged a bullet? Got lucky? I don't know. That definitely needs a clean. This main board does give me a sad Mac chime occasionally. It's pretty scary. If you don't know what they sound like, have a look on YouTube. Man, that one's leaked pretty bad too. Are the pads intact? Yeah, I think they're still kind of there. So I'll get them cleaned up with a bit of methylated spirits. And we'll have a look, see how it looks. Fingers crossed. Okay, so it actually looks like they're both there, which is incredibly good news. So that's 2 out of 11. And those ones had leaked pretty significantly, so if you get a cotton tip, just gently sort of clean the area. Especially components that are nearby, you may even need to get a... I thought that was clean before and there's still dirt coming up. So once you're convinced it's as clean as it's going to get, crack out the old soldering iron and let's get these replacement capacitors soldered on there. First thing we'll want to do is reflow the solder that's already there, because it's not very good looking. It's yeah, had capacitor leak all over it, so reflowing it will make it nice and fresh and much easier to solder the replacement capacitors onto. So let's get the soldering iron fired up and see how we go. And we're back. We've got to 100 microfarad 10 volt. And they are going to do wonders, hopefully. Look at that, nice and tinned. So get some solder. Just wanna heat and add. That didn't work. Just made a bowl of solder. If you come to think of it, a better way to... solder's really hot. Flat blade, just lightly scrape at the top. This might help the solder to heat through whatever was stuck to it. Now with tantalum or tantalum capacitors, compared to the ones we're taking off, the marking on there indicates that's the negative side. On these it's reversed. Where the line is, it's actually the positive side. So that's something to bear in mind, otherwise you can end up with some pretty cool pyrotechnics, which is not something you want. That's much better. Whew, stinky solder. Where'd that get absorbed into? Didn't they go into the... Alright, that track just lifted. Which is just deja vu from yesterday and not a good thing. pad just lifted, not track. Technically it's a track of some sort. So much crud on top of it now. We're looking good. And now we can probably attach the capacitors, so that is a hot soldering iron. Oh, way out of frame. And that is the wrong corner. This is more difficult than it looks. Oh man, those things get hot quick. Oh, just blew a capacitor under the ground. You don't want to heat these capacitors for too long. Ideally I'd be using a lower wattage iron. The more heat you apply, the more likely it is to fail. Which is not something I want my little capacitors to be doing. Which is the whole damn reason I'm replacing them. Really. Well, it has taken on some sort of attachment on the other side. Oh yeah, it's attached. So that's good. Oh, whoops, out of frame again. Knock all these dead capacitors onto the floor because they're getting in the way. There we go. So as you can see, there is now one capacitor on there. Let's add the other one. So keep note of where your positives are. Add a bit more solder to the joint if you want. Entirely up to you. I can see how a case size C capacitor would be useful, make it a lot easier to see what you're doing, but at the same time Can't get these in C size, I'm pretty sure, or at least the 47 microfarad ones you can't. Ow. Really does burns one finger. Oh, sniff, sniff, sniff. Apologies. What the hell? That's pretty crooked, so I want to try and straighten that up so I can solder both sides on. And I think that might be as straight as it's going to get, and that's crooked as all hell. Well, that is truly a work of art. Let's get a close-up of that. Look at that. You'd think they were just put on there from factory, like that one there. Look at how good they are. Alright, maybe that one is a little bit too crooked. Good thing I'm not worried about cosmetics in this one. So now I just need to do that on another 9 and it'll be good to go. So thanks for watching. Hope you have some idea of what it's like to do this. I'm sure I'll lift the pads from another one. I mean, I've done it almost on 2 now. While I've been snipping away, and by snipping I mean stabbing, it just occurred to me, oh look, I got another one off without lifting the things. I actually managed to break the piece of plastic underneath the capacitor first, and then it was just the 2 legs. I just desoldered one and the other one just came off. I was thinking, the reason that they cut the capacitor in the other guide, which is now the recommended method I'll be using, if I had a decent pair of scissors, is to remove the tin bit completely, so there's no sort of pulling on the main board. It makes a lot more sense now that I think about it after removing a few of these. So we'll just go through, try cutting this. How do you cut a metal capacitor? It's just going to lift off the board before I can cut through it. Yeah, these scissors aren't good enough, and I don't have any wire cutters. I do have some pliers, but ow, not exactly cutting pliers. Alright, now we have a squashed capacitor. Great. That's not what I wanted at all. I wanted a pony for Christmas. So what another way I've been doing it is, you know where the legs are, so just sort of stab at them. Or just pry it around. I know the legs are there. If I only had something to cut them with. thought removing Game Gear capacitors was bad. It was a cakewalk compared to this. Come on, metal fatigue! Metal fatigue! Yeah! Yeah! It worked. These ones haven't been leaking it by the looks. Which is just another bonus. Brush it on the floor. And pads. So, is that the best way to do it? Just to sort of squash and hope for the best? Try cutting these on there. They're too low. What's this big microchip in the way? Hey! So best bet's probably to try and get the plastic out from underneath, which when attacking it with pliers seems to loosen it, and then sort of just snap it off with a Phillips flat blade, sorry. And then just rock it back and forth until it snaps off. Yeah, metal fatigue! There you go. That seems to be the way to do it. I should probably take note of where these capacitors are before I just go removing them all. I mean, the other option for me is just invest in a pair of wire cutters. It's probably not a bad idea either. I'm pretty sure this is exactly what the guide says not to do. Do not rock it back and forth. But it seems to be such a good way to do it. Yeah, those haven't leaked either. So that's what I'm going to do from now on. You learn as you go. Stay tuned, and I'll cut back to this on the last one I solder in, and then we'll give it a test, see if it actually works. Stay tuned. Forgot to record me doing the last one, but they're all on there, so I was able to remove all the capacitors. Let's just go over them and have a look. There are. Just look for crooked ones and you'll know they're mine. I honestly don't think there'd be any other way to do them apart from crooked now. Okay, oh, where to begin? I did that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, those two, that is by far the most crooked. Two more over here. Polarities are correct. Triple check them, so I'll hook it in, give it a power up, and we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed we get a chime and it boots. This is the real test. No flames, please.
You can find part 2 in the pet food aisle.